Hello, and welcome to the first episode of Made with Carlenergy. I'm Carlene, and I'm a knitter and spinner. You can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Carlenergy, and show notes for the podcast will be at carlenergy.blogspot.com. I've been wanting to start a podcast for a while. I watch several on YouTube, and I love how it's a big community and everybody's doing knit-alongs and swaps and giveaways, and so I want in on the fun. I live in Dover Plains, New York, which is about 2 hours upstate from the city on the Metro North train line. And a little disclaimer, I do have a parakeet. His name is the Dude, and he's very chatty, so you probably already have heard him in the background, and I'm hoping that that's not too distracting. I have his blanket over his cage, but he might still be a little noisy. And I'm hoping that the lighting and the sound are okay. I'm just recording on a MacBook webcam for now, and my apartment is in the back bottom level of a split level house, so I don't get a lot of natural light because I have there's a deck that goes over the windows. But with that said, hopefully it's okay for now, and the format will be pretty much the standard for knitting podcasts. I have some finished objects, some works in progress, some stash enhancement, of course, and some lovely mail that I got this week from another knitter, and some upcoming events that I'm excited for. So with that said, some tea. I love this mug. My aunt found this for me. I'm also a typewriter enthusiast, so I love this mug. And I'm drinking some Tazo green ginger tea, which is very nice, light and refreshing and tasty. So to start out, I have a finished shawl. This is the Lumpy Space pattern by Stephen West, and I'm very much in love with this. I'm so happy with how it came out. I used 4 different yarns, and they were all, those precious skeins of fingering weight that you get. You buy them just because they're pretty, and then you have all these skeins under 400 yards, and it's kind of difficult to find a pattern for them. I was trying to find small shawlette patterns for each of them individually, and I had a few ideas, but then I realized that I could put them all together and make a lumpy space because I've wanted to make this ever since it came out. And so yes, it's 4 different yarns on a US size 5 needle pattern. So I love Stephen West patterns. I know that his patterns are a little strange and out there for some more traditionally minded knitters, but I think he's just so creative and innovative with his shaping techniques and the way that he uses yarn overs. And yeah, I'm really glad he's on Ravelry, just doing his thing. So the yarns I used were some Brooklyn Tweed Loft in the Hayloft colorway. So this is 100% Targhee Columbia wool, and I love that this is completely American sourced wool, so it's sourced from American sheep and spun and dyed in America, which is nice to know where it's coming from. And Hayloft is a beautiful mustard color with flecks of orange, and it's nice and spongy and light. I really like working with Brooklyn Tweed yarns. And then, so that obviously is part of the center section, and then combined with that is some Superwash Merino Single by Skeiny Dipping. I love this name. Every time I think that all the knitting and yarn puns and plays on words are kind of taken up, I find that there's a new one. So I love this name. I think it's so perfect. And this is a 100% superwash merino. It comes in 475 yards, and this is the tea leaves colorway. And yes, I like how she says machine washable, but why would you? Hand wash it is better. So it's beautiful browns, some hints of gold and tans. And then for the outer section, I have, this was a collaboration between two indie dyers. The first being Kristen, who has Volan Vine Yarns and the Yarngasm podcast, and then Laura from Jinx Yarns and the Dyer's Notebook podcast. So Kristen is in Brooklyn, and she dyed the skeins first and then sent them to, I believe, Texas to Laura, and then she over-dyed them. So they had this collaborative limited edition colorway, and it was called Volan Jinx. I think they did another one called Jinx and Vine, but I didn't happen to snag any of those. It's a very pretty mix of lavenders and pinks and this gorgeous gold, which I don't know why, but every time one of the streaks of gold came up while I was knitting it, it just made me really happy. And this is also, I believe, 100% superwash merino single fingering weight. So, and the last one was Madeline Tosh Merino Light, and this is the Flash Chance colorway. And as you can see, I was kind of playing yarn chicken at the end. I had most of a skein left over from another project, and I kind of thought starting out on this that I might run out, and I had some ideas for some other fingering weights that I have that I could have put in at the end, and I think it would have been fine. But I'm really glad that I was able to get through the whole thing. And I'm hoping that this is enough for a sock blanket square. So yes, I am beyond happy with this. I know I'm going to wear it a lot this fall and winter. I'll probably wear it as a shawl, and then also as a big scarf. And it's super comfy. I really like the texture contrast between the Brooklyn tweed and all the merino singles. And then yeah, I did the picot bond off in the Brooklyn tweed. So yes, just I think that's all I could say about it, is that I am in love with it. So the next finished object is a pair of socks, also in Volan Vine Yarns. This is her Blitz base, and I believe it's a merino, superwash merino nylon Angelina blend. I'll clear that up in the show notes, but this is her Neptunia colorway, and it's really, really beautiful. A lot of depth in the color. It's like watercolors. It's so pretty, and of course plenty of sparkle. So blues, greens, and purples, and these aren't for me, these are a gift, but I really enjoyed working with this yarn. It was just, it just made the knitting go really fast. This is a plain vanilla sock. It's pretty much the Kristen's pattern, Volan Vine favorite socks. If you look up Volan Vine favorite socks on Ravelry, it should come up. So a basic cuff down, 64 stitches, 2x2 rib for a few inches, and then the only difference I think with Kristen's pattern is hers is a basic slip stitch heel, and I did a Eye of Partridge heel. But other than that, very basic vanilla sock pattern. And I knit these on size 1.5s with some knit picks, wooden double pointed needles. So excited to give these away. I think the recipient is going to be very happy with them. So that's all my finished objects for now, and I will move on to works in progress, starting with another sock. And these I'm doing again on 1.5s, basic vanilla sock pattern, but 68 stitches instead of 64 because these are for a guy. Not sure which guy yet. I'm kind of trying to make just a bunch of pairs of socks for the guys in my family. They all have basically the same size foot, so I'm just trying to get a bunch done before Christmas, and then I'll figure out what colors I want to give to which guy. But this is Paton's Croy socks. I really like this yarn. You can get this in Michael's or Joann's or Hobby Lobby, any of the big craft stores. And yeah, I really like working with this, as you will see later on. But it's 75% superwashable and 25% nylon, and it comes in 50-gram balls. So you need 2 for a pair of socks. And this is their gray-brown marl colorway, which really reminds me of Sock Monkeys. It's a really nice striped colorway. So the funny thing about this sock is I knit basically half of it, or half of what I have so far, in traffic. Last week I was back in New Jersey where I grew up. I was visiting my parents, and I headed back up here on Saturday, and it usually takes me about 3.5 hours. This time it took me 7. I ended up in this huge traffic jam because of an accident, and my car was in park for quite a while. I mean, I kept just putting my car in park because traffic was just at a dead stop, or, you know, we would move up maybe a little, you know, a couple feet every 10 or 15 minutes. So I had my project next to me in my passenger seat in my purse, and yeah, I just started knitting. That might not be the safest thing, but I mean, literally I was in park for about an hour, so I got a lot of knitting done. I think when I started driving, I was about halfway through this gray stripe, so I got all of this done and then started the heel. So, traffic socks. Yeah. And it's funny because I really haven't worked on these since then. But, yeah. I was shocked that I even got that much done. I mean, I thought it was just going to be kind of a novelty thing, like, oh, look, I'm in a lot of traffic, I'll knit a few rows, and then I kind of just kept going, and we kind of just didn't move. So that's those. I pretty much always have a sock on the needles, as you do. And then next, I've been working on get my pattern. I've been working on the Azalea tank by Pam Allen. This was designed for Quince & Company. So just a very pretty camisole. And this one has been pretty popular on Ravelry. I've seen a lot of nice finished azaleas so far. And what's nice about this one is all the shaping happens just by going down in needle size. So you start out at the bottom, it's knit in pieces, so I have the front and back done. So you start off at the bottom with the lace with a US size 7, and then after several rows you switch to a 6, and then to 5, 4, and then most of the stockinette body is knit with a US size 3. And then you seam it together and then pick up around the neckline and the shoulders to do the straps, which I obviously haven't done yet. But I do have the front and back done. And yes, it was very, very nice to work with. I'm using, so it calls for the Quince & Co. Sparrow, which is 100% linen, which I did almost order, but the only color I really thought I might like for this was the color that they used for the sample. And I mean, I have knit the sample color before, just because it's what I see a pattern and it's knit in a certain color, and it's just, oh yeah, that's exactly what I want. But with this, I really wanted to choose a different color, and they had this yarn at my local yarn shop, which is Black Sheep Yarns in Kent, Connecticut, which is a wonderful yarn shop if you're ever in the area. But that shop had this, I'm not going to be able to pronounce it, but it's Gilsk. And I'm not even going to try to pronounce the actual name of the yarn. But I think this company is somehow associated with Isager. I think they might be co-owned. I'm not really sure. But anyway, I really like the little cartoon on the label. So this is a 55% wool, 45% cotton brand, or blend. And it's a sport weight, I believe. And I did get gauge with this yarn. The gauge is based on the US size 3 for the stockinette body, and I got gauge with the US size 3. So I just went with the same needle sizes that were called for. So yeah, I do have to seam this up, but obviously I've been distracted by other projects, as you do. So, I think next I'm going to talk about it's a knitting and spinning project at this point. And I'm going to save the other knitting work in progress for last because I have a lot to say about that. But this is a spinning project that I started a few months ago, and then I knit most of a shawl with it, and then I ran out of yarn. So now I am spinning more yarn in order to finish it. And so the pattern I'm using is Fringe with Benefits by Mindy Ross. It's this very cool, funky, asymmetrical, fringed scarf thingy. And let's see if I can find a picture of the whole. Yeah, so it's a very interesting shape. So it's been really fun to work on because it just, you're not doing the same thing. It's something different every couple of rows. And so this is what I have so far. This was spun on a drop spindle, top whirl with a loop bump. I love loop bumps, as you will see, I'm sure. So I think this was a 5.3 ounce bump of merino, Angelina, I think some bamboo, and some recycled sari silk. So here's where I'm at. And it's got these, the beautiful little flecks of sari silk all throughout it, which was really fun while I was spinning it. And it's it's so soft. I knit it up at, I think, probably a fingering to a sport weight. And it's beaded as well, so there's beads along the edge, and then there's some in the actual body of the shawl, and then there's beads on every end of the fringe, which is a knitted fringe, which was really, really fun to do. And this is on a size 7, but it's obviously on holders right now because I haven't really been working on it because I'm out of yarn, and I've been lazy about spinning the rest of the yarn. But I'm spinning the rest of it with another loop bump, and this one's called First of Fall, and it's merino, bamboo, and Angelina, 5.5 ounces. So what I'm doing, since this, usually of course you spin from the center, but I'm spinning this one from the outside since that's where the blues and greens are, and I think that will match up with what I already have in the scarf. So this is a spindle by the Schott Company, and it's their 1.1 ounce high-low spindle, so you can spin either as a top whirl or as a bottom whirl, which I actually haven't tried. I've never used it as a bottom whirl, but yeah, this was my first spindle. I bought this at Gauge Intention back in November, and that's actually where I learned how to spin. Michelle Wong taught me, which was really great, and so I bought the spindle from her, and I've bought several since then, but this is a good standard spindle. If you're just learning how to spin, and you kind of want to get one that's going to be, no fuss and very reliable. I really recommend these. It's very smooth spinning, and I've spun a lot using this. So with this bump, it doesn't have the recycled silk in it. So, and I wanted to make sure that I still had that effect for the rest of the scarf. I didn't want it to have all these like flecks of different colors and then the rest of it be not tweedy at all. So what I'm doing is spinning some bits of these fondant fiber fuzzlings in with the loop bump. So this is a great fiber artist in the UK, Fondant Fiber, and she's got a website, fondantfiber.com, and these are her fuzzlings. So I won these fuzzlings as part of Kristen from the Yarngasm podcast, Despackle. She hosted a drop spindle and knit along back at the beginning of the year from January till April, I believe, and she had a couple different prizes, and the whole goal was to spin enough yarn and knit a scarf or shawl within those couple of months. And then she had a random drawing for the prizes, and I got the fuzzlings. And yeah, I've already spun up, I think there were 5 in here, and I spun up 3 already, and I have these last 2 left. This really funky, like, punk rock red and black one, and then this gorgeous purple one, and then I have like little bits of a pink one that are still in there. So I'm using this and then bits of these to get that sari silk look with my loop bump. So I think it's really working out. I think it's going to be very similar to the sari silk bump. So yes, that's that. And yeah, I really need to get back to working on this because I would love to have this scarf finished for this coming winter. And I'm hoping that by showing it to you, it will mean that I work on it again. And now, the last project I will talk about today is my Rhinebeck sweater. So, a little backstory. I have never been to Rhinebeck. This will be my first year. And I don't know why I've never been, because I mean I grew up in New Jersey, so it's never been that far away. But now that I'm definitely in New York, I mean it's only about 45 minutes from me. I'm definitely going, and I am taking a workshop on the Friday before the whole weekend with Abby Frank-Lamont. I'm taking a spinning workshop with her. And then I will be there all weekend because I'm renting an Airbnb room. So I'll be there Friday and Saturday nights and shopping all weekend. And so the whole thing was I wasn't going to make a Rhinebeck sweater because I have several sweaters that I've already knit that I could have picked out to wear. And last year, during Rhinebeck, I was actually at the Webb's yarn shop in Northampton, Massachusetts. So I had actually wanted to go to Rhinebeck last year, but my family always plans a fall trip to the Yankee Candle store, and that's up in Massachusetts, and then it's not too far away from Webb's, so my family's great. We go to the candle place, which is not just candles, it's all kinds of Christmas decorations and home goods and jewelry and all kinds of stuff. So it's a huge store. But then they always help me out by stopping at Webb's on the way back, and they let me have my yarn moment for a little bit. So I was at Webb's during the Rhinebeck weekend, and I was wearing a brand new, freshly finished sweater, which was the Ondawa pattern by Michelle Wong again, and I was wearing it at Webb's, and I kind of considered it my Rhinebeck sweater since Rhinebeck was happening and I had the sweater on. So I almost was going to just wear that one again so I could actually say that it was my Rhinebeck sweater this year. But I've been wanting to knit Michelle Wong's Bellows cardigan ever since it came out. I think it was in the Brooklyn Tweed Fall 2014 collection. And I don't know what it was, but as soon as this pattern came out, I knew that I wanted, it's knit with 2 strands of Brooklyn Tweed shelter held together. And I just knew immediately that I wanted to make it with the Blanket Fort color, which is a lavender, and then Postcard, which is a light pink. I wanted to hold those two together to get like a marled effect with the sweater. So I did it. I went ahead and ordered all this yarn. And so here's Blanket Fort. And it's got flecks of red and blue, and then the Postcard, which has black and red tweed. And so I have 14 skeins, and so 7 skeins each of the 2 colors, and I'm making Bellows, this beautiful oversized comfy cardigan. And I'm making they show it modeled with I think 9 to 10 inches of positive ease, and so they kind of give a couple different options for the sizing. You could either do the 4 to 5 inches of ease which is for the standard fit, or the loose fit with the 9 to 10 inches of positive ease, and I'm doing the more standard fit. So I'm going to knit the size, I believe I'm knitting the size 38. Yeah, so that'll be a little more fitted than the sample. But I've already got one sleeve done. So I got the yarn on this past Saturday, and now it's Monday. And when you knit with size 11 needles, you get a sleeve in like 2 days. So, and I'm just, yeah, it's definitely coming out just as I had pictured it in my head with the 2 different colors held together. I'm really happy with the color that I'm getting. I think it would have been really pretty in either of these yarns just held by themselves, but I love the marled effect. So I have one sleeve done, and then basically almost halfway through the second sleeve. Ooh, yikes. So yeah, these are size 11s. The ribbing was knit with a size 10. And I'm also on gauge with this. I got gauge on the size 11s, which is what it calls for. And yeah, so all of my projects that I've been knitting lately have been on Chiagu needles, which so Nancy, who is the owner of Black Sheep Yarns in Connecticut, my local yarn shop, she converted me to these needles this summer. I had always thought that I preferred wooden sets, so I've knit a few, I have a couple set of interchangeables by Knitter's Pride and Knit Picks, the wooden interchangeables, and I've liked those, and they've been good, but then I was having issues with the cable snapping away from, so the plastic cable was coming out from the metal part that is the connector to the needle. So I was having a lot of breakage issues, and I ended up buying a pair of the Chiagu fixed circulars to try out, and just fell in love with them and ended up getting the whole set. They are stainless steel, and they've made my projects really pleasant and smooth, and yeah, I'm really happy with the feel of them. The thing that took me I think the most to get used to was that they are a little noisier than wooden needles, but I kind of like the clicking noise. I mean, especially with the size 11s, they're very, very noisy, but I'm kind of not minding that at all. I think I love the cords. Yeah, they're a great needle. So if you're kind of thinking about one of these sets, I would say a worthy purchase. So, I believe that's all my works in progress for this week, and I will move on to showing you some stash additions. So while I was home in New Jersey, I went to Joann's with my mom and found some Paton's Croy socks on clearance. So they had 3 balls of this colorway, which is the Bramble Stripes colorway, and then they had just one more skein left of the Spring Leaf colorway. So I bought all 4 because I'm going to stripe these 2 together to get a pair of socks. So that was 4 skeins from Joann's. And then on my way back up from New Jersey, I don't know, I guess I got this like crazy fire in me to stop at every craft store along the way. I mean, not going out of my way to get to them, but if they were on the road to get back, then I would stop because I was looking for more Croy socks. So I stopped at a Michael's, they didn't have any on sale. Stopped at Joann's and they didn't have any. They had the bins with the colorway labels and the clearance labels and everything, but it was all cleared out already. But then my last stop was a Hobby Lobby, and I finally found some more. So I was able to get 2 of these, 2 of this colorway. This is the Clover colors, and so that's, you know, enough of that colorway to make a pair of socks. The labels say it's the same dye lot, but they do look a little different to me. But I'm not gonna mind if they're a little different from each other. And then they only had one more ball each of these 2 colors, so I'm gonna stripe those together to get my pair of socks. So 4 more pairs of socks on the way with 8 more balls of Croy. And then also on Saturday, I got a package in the mail, which I wasn't necessarily expecting, although as soon as I saw it, I knew what it was. So earlier this summer, Carol Sunday Knits, who has sundayknits.com. I think it's Sunday Knits. Yes, sundayknits.com. She has lovely patterns and she has her own yarn line. And she's Carol Sunday Knits on Instagram. I had posted a picture of a bird of happiness, which I had knit out of my own hand-spun yarn, and she really liked it, and she wanted to know if I would make her one, and so I said of course, and she was trading me a pattern, so I ended up making her 2 birds of happiness, and then I sent her a little project bag and some tea and a skein of yarn from a local farm in this area, and so she ended up sending me another pattern, which was her night birds pattern, which is a pair of fingerless knits with Fair Isle birds. It's really pretty, and so I'd gotten that pattern as she just sent it to me on Ravelry, and then on Saturday I got this package from her, and Carol, if you're watching, I was blown away. It was all nicely packaged in tissue paper with her sticker, that's her logo, and it smelled amazing. It was, I mean, as soon as I opened the outer package, I could smell the lavender because she sent 2 little sachets of lavender in with everything. So good. And then the first thing I saw was this tote bag, beautiful Sunday Knits tote bag. And inside, she sent me a card. She sent me this lovely card. And then mini skeins of a bunch of her different yarns. There's some different fiber contents in here, and the colors are so beautiful. You can't really see too well because of the bag, but there's a couple different blues and greens, some mustard yellow, and this is a gray, and this is enough to make, I believe, 2 pairs of her Nightbirds mitts. So I have the pattern, and now I have all the yarn to make them. And so thank you so much, Carol. I love these, and I'm really, really excited to make those mitts. Thank you so much. So I think that's about it for all my projects and mail and everything. This week I'm hopefully going to be going down to the city to meet up with Kristen of Yarngasm and Bowline, and we're going to do some yarn shopping together. I think we're going to go to Pearl Soho. I've been there a few times, but Kristen's never been, so that should be exciting. And other than that, I'm just really pumped up for Rhinebeck, and yeah, I can't wait to finish my sweater for it. With how fast it's going, I'm sure it won't be too far along. Now, I just want to give some shout outs to obviously Kristen of Yarngasm. I love her podcast. She's actually the first podcast I started watching again. I had listened to some on iTunes several years ago, and then it had been a few years since I had been into podcasts, and then so when I went to Gauge Intention for the first time back in November, Kristen had a trunk show there with her yarns. So that's how I found out about Yarngasm, and then that just snowballed into me watching a whole bunch of others. A Homespun House with Molly, Little Bombad's Knits with Danny, Mandarines, Stitched in Sweden. I just started watching Andre Sue Knits recently, which I love, and the Fawn Knits, and definitely a couple others that I think forgetting right now. But yes, I just love keeping up with all of you guys. You are all making such beautiful things, and I'm really glad that you're all out there. So thank you for your videos, and for all the, advice and tips and giveaways and everything. So with that, I will wrap it up for now, and thank you so much for watching. If you have any advice or tips or, questions for me, please let me know. You can message me on Ravelry, or I guess leave a comment on the video. And until next week, because I think I'm going to try to make it a weekly schedule. Until then, have some happy knitting time, and I'll see you soon. Bye.